Now we're going to look at what determines the supply of labour. And the supply of labour, remember, is coming from people. People supply their labour. They decide that they want to work doing a certain job. A teacher is supplying their labour to schools or to individuals who want to learn something. There are 5 main determinants of the supply of labour, and this is a way of remembering them. WOW and NB, as in note bene, note. You could remember it in that way. The first one about the supply of labour, remember this is from workers. They are supplying their labour, is wages. If the wages being paid are higher, this will increase the supply of labour. More people will want to do the job because they're paid more money, and therefore more people will supply themselves to the market. The second one, other monetary incentives. This isn't the wage that you're being paid, but it's another way in which money is giving you an incentive, or it's pushing you. That means really it's drawing you towards it. That would make you want to supply your labour. So examples of this might be that every year the company gives an annual bonus, and that would make you want to work there. Another example might be if you work in sales, that you're working on commission. That means that if you're selling washing machines, every time you sell a washing machine, you get a certain percentage of the price of the washing machine on top of your wage. So these are other monetary incentives. If these are greater, this will increase the supply of labour in that market. The third one is the working population. If this is higher, this will increase the supply of labour, because literally you have more people in the country who can supply their labour. An example of working population increasing would be if you have immigration of people of working age. And this would increase the supply of labour in markets. The fourth one, non-monetary. So this is things not to do with money, but that are enticing people to supply their labour in this market. This might be something like free gym membership for workers. It might be something like free health insurance for workers. It might be something like a free lunch for workers. It might be something like an annual party for workers. These are all things, they're not to do with money, but they're things that affect workers and make it more likely, if things like this are offered, that people will supply their labour to the market. So these would increase the supply of labour. The last one, barriers to entry. This means to get into the industry as a worker. There are some things we know that mean that in some labour markets there's a lot lower supply of labour. Sometimes the qualifications that you need are very difficult to pass and require a lot of hard work. Sometimes it takes a very long time to train to get into an industry and to be able to work in that industry. Sometimes you may need, in some countries, you might need connections to be able to get into an industry. That's unethical and in many countries illegal, but that would reduce the supply of labour. There may be a lack of university or college courses for some areas, and that would reduce the supply of labour in those areas. Or it may be very expensive to train to do something. Again, that would decrease the supply of labour in that market. So you need to think about how easy is it to get into the market. One last one might be the work experience required. If you need to do a lot of work experience before you can even have a job in the industry, then the supply of labour will be lower. So these are all examples of why the barriers to entry the ability to get into the market might be much higher, and therefore the supply of labour might be lower. This will be different for all types of industries. If you take an example of a surgeon will have to have a lot of qualifications which are difficult to get. They take time to get them, and there may be a limited number of courses to train to do medicine. It's expensive to pay the fees to do those courses and to live while you're doing the courses. And you also possibly need to have work experience and things on your CV in order to get onto the course in the first place. This means that there's a limited supply